I mean, look, the only thing I can tell anybody is what Brian said to me when I said the same thing to him, because I said the same thing. So we don't fault you for thinking those things or saying them at the time that you're saying them, but I'll just tell you what he said to me. He said, I'm sure you'll figure it out. And I totally understand somebody's predicament if something is a significant investment and they don't actually have the money to spend. As I mentioned, that was exactly the position I was in at 18. I had to borrow the money to go to my first seminar. A guy that I really admired told me I had to go to this one particular seminar. And I really revered and respected him and wanted to do right by him. And there was no problem because I wanted to go. The problem is it was $2,500, which was like $25,000 back then. And I didn't have $2,500. And nobody around me had $2,500, including my own father, who I asked to borrow it from, didn't have $2,500 to loan me. So I did something I had never done before. I asked my grandfather to borrow it. Now, you have to understand, my grandfather on my mother's side was a super scary guy. His own kids called him Ogre, and I wish I were kidding. He was a decorated fighter pilot in World War II, which I think screwed him up. He flew P-38s. He completed over 100 successful missions in the Pacific Theater, which I never really knew much about because he'd never talk about it or talk about much of anything because, that's the way he was. But he was my last hope. So thankfully, he agreed, but he didn't do it with joy in his heart. I can tell you that for sure. He was incredibly tight with money. He tortured me during the entire trip to and from the bank. But, Gary, as you said, that was the seminar that changed the trajectory of my life forever. I mean, no kidding. It started everything. It's what propelled me to achieve the goal of earning that six-figure income at 18 years of age, which changed the trajectory of my life from that point forward further. Now, I'm not telling anybody to go borrow the money. I'm just telling you what I did. And then the life-changing effect that came from having done so. Oh, and by the way, I did pay my grandfather off in full with interest before the first installment was even due. And my grandfather was relieved. I mean, visibly relieved. And I was very grateful that he had helped me make it happen. But here's something else I want everybody also to consider when thinking about this, okay? It's the advice that my mentor, Jim Rohn, gave me about understanding and evaluating potential investments in your personal development. Jim would say, don't evaluate something on what it costs. He said that's the mistake average people do, and it's what keeps them average. He said instead, evaluate it on what it could be worth. What is it worth to do better with less headache so that you can enjoy your family and friends more? What is it worth to have the time and energy to focus on your health, spend more time out of the office, be a better parent, no longer feel overwhelmed, and still produce substantially more? What is it worth to increase your confidence at work in front of your peers and at home in front of your family? What is it worth to have a sense of renewed purpose, to get your freaking mo back? What is it worth to learn the methods that you need to grow and produce to be a hero to your family and to achieve what matters to you? That is what the seminar or workshop is worth, he would say. The cost is chicken feed, as he would say. What it costs in money is pennies by comparison to the fortune that it's worth. And once you have that perspective, I think it makes decision making much, much easier.
Be the exception.